You said exactly what I say to her every morning. Like, Mom, I really miss you. I so wish you were here right now. And you gave me such comfort because you said, I am here. I'm here with you every single day, every morning. Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Relaunch podcast. Oh, I have chills from my head to my toes on what I am going to be bringing to you. And you know, when you wake up in the morning and there is this sense of like excitement, you're just like excited. You're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great day. Well, I'm so excited now because I get to help you have a great day as well. And this is going to take you not just in the physical sense of where you are in your seat right now, or you're out running, or you're working out, or whatever you're doing, but it's going to take you from that physical. We talk about being visible to the invisible. And you know, I like to go there, but this is going to go even further. And who am I talking about? Who is my guest today? Her name is Karen Romine. She is a certified psychic, medium, healer, and psychic investigator. She leverages her 3 decades of corporate experience to help women use psychic abilities to help like monetize. How awesome is this? She said to me before we started, she said, you know what, Hilary? The one thing I always want to keep doing is the one-on-ones. It's the helping people with their businesses. It's the going beyond and always giving back in that helping with the investigations. And so we're going to go there today. We are going to help you understand how much more there is than just what we see. And I had the privilege of actually having a session with Karen, and it was a few months ago. And I went back, actually maybe 2 months ago, and I went back and I listened this morning. And I got to tell you, wow, giving a little space. And I had the tears flowing, you know, I mean, I was like right back in the moment. And then here you are. Welcome, Karen, to the show. And I'm like just out of my skin, excited to see you again.
Oh, thank you so much. I couldn't be happier. It's the best day ever. I'm thrilled to be here.
It is the best day ever. So I really want to, for those that are like, oh God, and you know, people have heard me say, who knew woo could be so good for you? And I got to say, some out there are still, you know, they're continuing to follow me because they're like, you know, Hill has been, you know, bringing some good things to these, you know, shows. But what is she doing? Where is she going? And help us understand, first off, the relaunch journey that brought you where you are today, because it wasn't always this way. And I really want to talk about this, your give back. And is it FBI that you're working with?
I work with all forms of law enforcement on
all
that.
forms. I'd love to weave that in as well, because I think people are truly fascinated, and I love the essence of helping in whatever capacity. But let's start, Karen, with how the heck did you become a medium, a psychic, a healer? And I'm like, God, I love this show. So help us understand your journey and your relaunch.
Well, my journey is in some ways similar to others and in other ways not. I have known things and heard things that I thought everyone did as a child. And I blurted out a few of those things, and it wasn't so well received, actually. So I was raised in the Midwest in a conservative area, and my goal was to get to college, get a degree, and make something of myself. And there was nothing that involved speaking with dead people on the college. So
Go figure, right? That whole I see dead people, no, no. I'm sure there wasn't.
So I focused on business, and I really had a knack for it. It came quite naturally for me. I'm very linear in my thinking of getting the goal, seeing how it is we need to get there, and then developing the plan. So for probably 3 decades, just as a little dating on myself, I have worked with companies coming out of bankruptcy, going through mergers, startup companies. I've been partners in those companies. I've been advisors, and I still sit on the board of several of them. And through that, I learned that I was still using my abilities, that where my information was coming, people would say, how'd you even think of that? Where did that even come from? I've never even thought about doing it that way. And I'd go home and think, where did that come from? Mm-hmm. And what I realized that was, although I had shut that down when I was younger, it was still in me. It was still coming through. And when I was probably 22, someone walked into the office where I was working and said, hey, do you want to go see a medium this weekend? We're all going to go. And I said, no, not really. Why wouldn't we go see someone who's great? Like, I didn't even know what a medium was.
Well, that's another thing. Explain to everyone listening, what is a medium?
So a medium is someone who connects you with your loved ones in spirit. And then a psychic is someone who talks to you and connects with your guides, your higher powers, and talks to you about the here and now. So that could be career or family, or it could be your business, right? It could be anything that's happening here and now. So
Karen, Karen, quick question there. Can you be just a psychic and not be a medium?
Oh, that's the best question ever. I believe everyone is a psychic. Because we all think about things like you think about someone and suddenly they call. For some reason, you walk into a room and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to connect with that person. Or, oh my gosh, I've never seen that person before. I want to go be best friends with them.
So it's kind of the intuition.
100%.
Right?
Intuition is psychically reading ourselves. So we're using that part of our brain that creates that psychic ability. So everyone, I believe, has that. It's whether or not we listen to it. And it's really a superpower. So I really want everyone to listen to it.
Well, and I love what you just said, because, I talk often about 3HQ, head, heart, highest self, and the idea that there's intuition. And when you have in the head, it's the knowing. When you have it in the heart, it's that feeling. And when you have it in the highest self, it's the sense. And as you're saying this, I'm like, that's so interesting to think about psychic ability around intuition. And the way I say it is, too many people may hear something, right? Or feel it or know it, but they don't listen to it, right? They're like, oh no, it can't be. That's just
It happens all the time. We say it to ourselves. Oh, why didn't I do it that way? Why didn't I listen? It happens more often than not. And learning to listen to that. And just to be clear, when I say listen, I've done this now for years. I've heard an external voice, like in a room where I had to look around to see what it was, twice, I think. I hear it in my head. So when people are listening and they're wondering, like, oh, is she hearing some voice from the side? It's that inner voice that's talking to us.
We're going to go there because I got to tell you, you said some crazy things. Oh my gosh. And like I said, I just re listened, but let's keep going with the journey. And you were invited to go see a medium. You're like, what the heck
I
is
was
going
it.
on?
Yes. And that medium taught me something so significant. I got this message. It ended up being from my grandfather, and it ended up being for someone else. I couldn't relate to the entire message. So I just sat and took it all in. And then I relayed that message. And the person was in tears that I relayed it to. And I realized at that moment that this is for sure, for sure. I didn't create it in my head. I didn't will it to be. I knew nothing about it. So that was one significant thing. And the other thing is, I can tell you now, decades later, almost verbatim what she said to me. And I can't tell you what I had for dinner last Wednesday.
Interesting. Right? So things that you hear, you never forget.
When it comes from a psychic medium, the impact of those words is so significant. So when I really put all of that together and realized that I could help people, that voice inside of me said, get out of tech. At the time I was running we had developed Think Airbnb for parking. We had focused it in LA. Now it's across the country, but the voice was like, go. So I talked to my business partner. I said, hey, I just want you to know this is like the 8-month window. By December, I'm out. I'll sit on the board. I'll help, but I'm going to transition out. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I think I'm going to go talk to dead people. And he said, I am so excited for you. This is where you belong. So I've really worked hard to make sure that I understood the neuroscience of it, that I've understood the language of it, and that I've understood the impact that it can have on people. And you talked a little bit about my giving back side. I really wanted to
before you go into the giving back, hold on.
Yeah.
Super interesting. And I just want to, this just came up for me as you were saying it. I worked at Oracle, high-tech company, Silicon Valley, for almost 10 years. And I really did feel like sales came super easy to me. Like I just knew like, oh, I need to try this. I need to go do that. And I remember people asking like, okay, so share with us like, your methodology, your process. And I would be embarrassed to be able to say, I don't know, I just knew. Like it just sounded so just like, it didn't sound meaty enough. It didn't sound like, I was almost embarrassed because I'm like, and I would kind of make up these like, well, I used step 1 and step 2, and then I did this, and this is my process. But in reality, it was that knowing, like, I'm like, but I couldn't explain it to anyone. And especially, years ago, this was something that, nobody wanted to talk about, your intuition. Nobody wanted to talk about that psychic ability. So it sounds like you were doing the same thing, that you were really very successful. You were leveraging this, and you're saying everyone has it. But do you think that like you are off the charts? I mean, have you always been this way?
Boy, Hilary, I don't think, yes, I've always been this way. Yes, I've always had a knowing. I've always been able to connect with the other side. And to me, I wouldn't say it's off the charts. I would just say it's totally normal.
It's just it's all you know.
Yeah, it really is. I think that, people call it a gift or something.
I don't know. Is it a gift for you? Because sometimes I'm thinking, as you said, I don't ever forget, or let's go into now your give back, your, this idea that you do have this whatever we're going to call it, gift, or just a real sense of, I want to help people. Share with us what you're doing and how you control that, because I know that there's some outcomes that are not necessarily, they're not the good ones.
That is a perfect synopsis of that. So I needed to find, I say, because I need that for me. I need to always have a focus that's outside of myself, that's helping aside from just the work that I'm doing. So I volunteer with 2 different not-for-profits right now. They both are heavily entrenched with the law enforcement community. You mentioned the FBI earlier. It's linguistics, police officers, retired, active, everything involved with both of them. And we actually help look for missing people. Missing people in the United States is a silent epidemic, and I could talk for hours on that. I'll leave it at that. And when you work with people that have missing loved ones, they are in a state of crisis. And it is so imperative that there are trustworthy people that surround them, because people will try anything. They'll do anything when their loved ones are missing. So I work with a group of psychic mediums in both of these groups. I work with the law enforcement. We get information psychically and or mediumshiply, because they may have already passed. So I may be connecting with them in a different way. We find out where they're...
My heart just dropped, like literally. As you said that, because I'm sure that sometimes, you're probably, and I don't know, out of all the different cases that you work, how many you already realize have passed.
And pretty quickly, and maybe I should say, I know pretty quickly, because of how my energy shifts, how it is that I'm connecting with them. So with one of them, they just had a board meeting, the annual board meeting from, they have an odd calendar year, and 132 cases we worked on. And of the 132 cases, 132 of them were resolved. And of those 132 that were resolved, they were all resolved by some sort of information that came from a psychic medium.
No.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh my gosh, that is incredible.
Isn't that awesome?
So the way that law enforcement really are solving, the unsolved cases is by working with people like you.
Now, I will say that there are, of course, far more than the 132 cases that with this one group. But law enforcement, generally speaking, won't say, oh, let's call a psychic medium in, right? Sure. They're like desperate when they get to that point. Right. And so it's an interesting connection. And the odds are you're never going to hear the chief of police get on the news at 6 p.m. and say, we worked with a psychic medium who helped us find. But it's not my job to find or to solve or to anything. In that role, I just bring the nuggets in. They could be numbers that give us a coordinate where the person is. They could be a visual of something. They could be a knowledge of whatever the circumstances were. On one of them, I was talking to the family first, and I said, he's going to be home in 3 days. You mark my words. He's going to be home in 3 days. And he was home in 3 days, because I could hear him tell me that. So in certain instances, it brings an immediate relief. I was able to give them all kinds of other information from the past and the present. So they knew that I was connected to him. Stuff not Googleable stuff, as I say. So they were able to get that comfort. So when I said he's going to be home in 3 days, it brought them a huge amount of relief, because they knew somehow I was connected to him. They knew he was alive. So it's a lovely, lovely way.
That's a lovely story. But there's also the other stories that you have to, it. Do you share with the family, like, I'm sorry to say, or how do you even approach that? I
would never say to you, I think your person is in spirit. But what I would say is, I have a spirit here. Spirit comes in on this side of me, so I keep reaching to this side.
Oh, I know that based on the video that I, in my session. Mhm.
So I would,
yeah, mom was right there on your right.
I love your mom.
Oh, so cute. But how do you, you have this ability to do this. You have these families and sometimes you're probably like, I know too much, right? Some of the times you're like, okay, I'm going to help, but how do you go about it? Do you go right to law enforcement and say, this is what I'm feeling, I'm seeing, and then you let them kind of deliver the information?
If a private investigator has come to me, or if law enforcement has come to me, or if one of these groups that I work for has come to me, I go back to them with the information that I have. And then they cross the bridge with the family. If it's a family that's come to me, which oftentimes happens, I'll work on it when I know where I'm at. And then I would say, I just want to give you some information. So I might first connect to, say, the person's father that's maybe in spirit, and they know it. And so we do that part of the reading so they understand how it works, because they probably never had a reading. And then I'll say, I have another person that's in spirit, and I'll work through that. And they'll tell me, I'll let them tell me who it is that I have in spirit so that they understand.
Oh my gosh, this is just, it really is incredible. And when we first got on our call, you immediately said there's someone wanting to come in, and you were really surprised. You said, is this your first time that you've connected and been able to channel with your mom? I'm like, yeah. And it was mind blowing. I feel very connected to my mom, but when you started to go into your process, and as you said, she was coming in on the right, and you immediately said, oh, she loved to hold your hand. She loved to, oh my God, she totally did. On planes, anywhere, she'd grab my hand, and you said things that were, nobody would know them. Like nobody would know. And even things that when I reheard it this morning, I'm like, wow. So can you tell us the process of what it's like when you're actually channeling? What is happening?
Well, for me,
you're like, oh.
For me, the first thing that I do is set an intention. It's the very first thing that I do. I set my own intention before I get on with someone, but then I set an intention that who you need to speak with is going to come through, and that you're going to understand it, and that it will be a message of healing. It doesn't matter that I don't understand it. I need you to understand it. And then I just center myself, I guess is the best way to say it. And oftentimes I'll just take a moment with my eyes closed. It's connecting with the divine in that space, because it's opening me up for something that's going to have a huge impact on you or on whoever it is I'm reading for. And when I open my eyes, they're there. I don't know how else to explain it. Now, sometimes I might visually see someone, but oftentimes I'll just start knowing first. That's usually how it starts to come to me. I will know that I've got a female, and as I feel into that, I will know that it's your mother. And once I connect into her energy, because we're all energy, right? Everything is energy. Once I connect into her energy, she pours it out in that situation. She'll say whatever's on her mind. What can be a little bit tough is that oftentimes we come in, I call it psychic amnesia. Someone will come in and they will be so focused on hearing from their grandfather, which is an example, their grandfather, and I've got this other spirit who's coming in, because I've opened up with an intention that you'll hear what it is you need to hear. and that it will be healing for you. So I had another spirit come in, and it was a young man, and he was giving me name, date, serial numbers, everything. And this person I was reading for kept saying, nope, nope, nope. I know he's here, and I know he's connected to the person. So I said, okay, look, I'm going to say one more thing, and we're going to let him go. Were you sitting out on your back porch last night? Yes. Did you see a shooting star last night? Yes. Did you drop the F-bomb when you saw that and wonder whether or not that was someone sending you a sign? He said, oh, you have my best friend in spirit. He just took his life, and I did not know he could get to spirit that fast. So I did not think you could deliver a message from him.
God, that's amazing.
So I knew things, I saw things, I heard things. If I'm completely blended in with the spirit, sometimes people see me doing, like, I'll take my glasses off, or I'll start feeling, I'll feel their hair, or I'll feel their knuckles on their hands, or I'll feel their glasses. So sometimes I'm actually touching things. Sometimes spirit will make me, if someone's real proper or conservative, they'll, tell me to sit up straight, or they just give me nudges in different ways. So that they come through using all of my senses. I use taste primarily if someone has been on a longer term medication for some illness that they might have experienced. And then also if there's been an addiction, taste will become very prominent for me. And smell, I use very rarely, but I can distinctly tell you the difference between cigarette and pipe smoke. So
it is so incredible. And I have to say, when I came in and when I started the call with you, I remember thinking, wow, my dad had just passed. Is he going to come in? I've had my grandmother who passed, my mom who had passed. I had all these people, and you were so funny. You said, God, there is one woman that is like coming to the front of the line. And at the end, I said, it was interesting that my dad didn't come in at all. And you said, your mom wouldn't let him. And it was just so funny because it's exactly, that was my mom. But it was really, fascinating to me that first off, you started the session and you said, are you interested in channeling this, psychic, which one, or a hybrid? And I said, I really want to do a hybrid. And what came from that is that predominantly was the channeling, but there was a lot of psychic information that came through my mom to me on my business and on my life and with my children. And I was like, oh my God, it was like everything. But there were some moments that were show-stopping. And one thing that I was just blown away is that, people know I love butterflies, but there was a time right before my mom passed that I said, okay, Mom, when you come back, I know you're going to come back as a butterfly, but I also know that I see butterflies all the time. Like they're all over. So how will I know which one is you? She said, Hilary, that's so easy. I'll just come like right at your face. I'll just like go straight beeline right towards you. You'll know it's me. And I'm always going to be a big butterfly. Don't like those small little ones. That's not me. So you said to me, hey, I know you look out the window. Your mom says that you look out the window a lot. And yes, I have a office that has multiple windows, and I do. I look out all the time. And there is this large butterfly that comes and, goes right in front of my window. And all of a sudden you said, and yeah, the large butterfly that comes in front that you're looking out at, that is your mom. And don't worry, all the other little butterflies, not your mom. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what she said. And then you used other words that you even said at one point, and I know you don't remember this because it was so like, you do all these, you do so many, but you said to my mom, you said, okay, is that the word you want to use? Nobody uses that word. And all of a sudden she says, that's the word. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the word. That would be a word my mom would use. And it was so fascinating because all of a sudden in the middle, you said, she wants to talk about your business. And right before my mom died, my mom said to me, Hilary, my only regret is that I haven't been able to help you with your business more because I don't have a business background. But when I'm on the other side, I'll really be able to help you. And all of a sudden, you switched and you said, Hilary, is there something you want to ask? And I'm like, you're almost like in this state, everyone, where you're petrified. Do I know what else? What else is she going to say? And all of a sudden you said, hey, your mom's taking us a different way. She wants to talk about your business. And she started to, again, through you. And everybody, don't worry that Karen doesn't go into like a high pitched voice like my mom or a, low pitched if you're talking to it's not that weirdness. It's still Karen. It's still her voice. It's beautiful. And she says, all these great things when she's talking, and she'll be like, wait a second, I don't understand that. And the biggest thing that I noticed is that when you said, after, mom gave me more information on the business, you said at the beginning to my mom, she was like, repeating the word launch. And you were like, no, I already know that. Hilary's already said she's going through a launch. And I knew my mom was referring to my company, relaunch. And you're like, no, we can't use that word. And she kept coming back and she kept saying it. And you were terrific. You were just like, and I'm not saying anything because I'm like, first off, you're just like, blown away by the whole thing that you barely can even ask questions because it's such an incredible experience. But I watched you finesse the conversation, and it was just so you do it on Zoom, everybody, and you bring this, like all these, like you said, you all of a sudden said, I miss you. You told me what I was saying to her in the mornings. And I do. I'm like, Mom, I really miss you. I wish you were here. You guys, everyone, my mom, my rock, my best friend in my life. I would talk to her all the time, 5 times a day. I'd call her. I'd get her opinion. She was a brilliant, brilliant woman. Even though she didn't have business experience, she always gave me the best business advice. And you said exactly what I say to her every morning, like, Mom, I really miss you. I so wish you were here right now. And you gave me such comfort because you said, I am here. I'm here with you every single day, every morning. Put your hand out. I'm holding your hand. And I'm like, oh my God, I had been doing that. I do that in the middle of the night where I'm like, I reach out and I just lay my hand down facing the sky and I know she's holding my hand. But beyond that, how do you, what is the best way for someone to truly work with you, to truly get the maximum out of a Karen medium psychic relationship?
I think that the best way is to start with a reading, just so that they understand what is possible. I always make sure that you are in control. I always ask, do you want to hear everything? Do you want to speak with everyone? I show you my secret weapon, which is this, which means shut up, Karen. I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. It's understanding that you still have control. It's understanding that they're here with you. It's understanding that the information that comes through is at a different level. It's not something that I read about. It's at a very personal level. It's allowing you to start healing. It's allowing you to start experiencing the expanse of it. Once you realize that this is possible, then the opportunities are endless, and it just depends on where you're at. If it's something that you want to explore to deepen your connection with your business, it's about exploring how you can do that. We work together through the year to put together, not just developing your psychic abilities in that case, but also in how to apply them so that you're actually taking yourself on your own best path. It's about working with you. You may have numerous loved ones that you either didn't get to tell them something, or you didn't get to hear that one thing you'd been waiting for your whole life. And so it's about a process of maybe continuing those types of readings so that you can heal from that. So that
okay, I've got to interject here. You did that with me. There was this thought that I had that continued to ruminate about, why didn't my mom and I really talk about her dying? Like, we never really discussed it. And I am definitely the optimist. And I tell stories about that. I thought I had signs that mom was going to be the miracle and all that. And then, there were things that came up, and that's for a different day. But when you said you have a question, and I was able to ask this question around, why didn't we talk at the end? And I didn't say anything more. And you were like, she says, I wanted to keep living and not process dying. I wanted to get every moment with you in the present. And if we had discussed the dying part, it would have gone to that, and I wouldn't have been able to live out my life. You said that, and I'm like, that's exactly what I needed to hear from my mom. You would never have had a clue about that. That was literally what was going on in my head. Like, what the heck? You left me high and dry. Like, not cool, mom. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, that is a beautiful thing. And we did it up until the very end. We lived life until literally I held her hand and she left this earth. And I was just like, and I listened again this morning, tears are flowing. I'm even tearing up right now. And it was a beautiful thing because I have such peace. And another thing you said is that you paused and you said, I just want to, and this was earlier in the conversation room before I had been given that piece, and it was building up to what that last comment I just said. But you said, let me just hold on, like, what? Okay. And you said, well, wait, I just want to let you know your heart is totally fine. You're very healthy. Everything is good. But you said, I had this very deep feeling around your heart. And I just checked to make sure, is there something wrong? But what you have, Hilary, is it's almost like my heart's still broken from the loss. And I was like, it is. I'm still very raw. And you allowed me to hear what my mom was saying. It started the healing process in such a beautiful way. And what a gift, what a true gift. So I got to say, I want to have people understand that you're available. And can you share where people can go to find you to book these incredibly impressionable meetings with you?
You can go to KarenRomine.com. My last name is Romine. And I would like to offer for all of your listeners a $50 coupon so they can get a reading at a discount and experience it for themselves. They'll use the coupon code RELAUNCH. So that is,
you guys, that is such a gift. Use the code RELAUNCH. Thank you. That is amazing. I know you're going to be so busy. It's so great.
It's the work that I do. I really look at it from a whole different perspective. I really appreciate and value what it can do and how people can experience things. And it's a passion. It's not my sole passion, right? But it's a passion of mine. Yeah. And I'm here, and I would love to answer if you have questions about what the heck is a reading. I don't know if a reading's for me. Are you sure I'm going to have control? What happens if I open up? People have a lot of questions. So if you have questions, you can email me. My link is on the website too. Feel free to reach out with your questions. questions, I will personally respond to them, because I do want to make sure that everybody understands too.
Well, and I have no doubt we are going to have a great collaboration together, this partnership. I think that there's so much of what we do at Relaunch and how you just add to that in such a beautiful way. And so thank you for gifting that to everyone. So please, and if there's anyone that wants to talk to me in regards to really the session, please DM me, because it was incredible. It really was. So Karen, we have to wrap. I am so sad. I would love to continue
for hours.
Well, and you're just such an incredible light in my life. And thank you again for what you gave to me, for allowing me to start that healing process really deeply, because I have been doing it in a way I thought I was, but you just kind of you gave me that spark. You truly ignited that for me. So again, thank you for being here, everyone. All of this information will be in the show notes, but again, I want to just say, open up your mind, and the spirit, the universe, it will come in, and it will, there's so many things that go unanswered in our life because we just don't ask. And so now is your opportunity. And you hear me often say, live now, love now, relaunch now, and realize that as you open yourself up to not just the logical way in the 3HQ, the head component, but there's the heart and the highest self. And when you work all of them together, that's when your magic literally shines. So everyone have a great week. We will be back again soon. Take care, everyone. If you like this video and want to get more like it, head over here.